I'm Nicole Mullet, and I'm also going to apply to participate in Ohio Shakespeare Festival with a brief soliloquy that I've prepared. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not going to do that. That would be terrible, and I can't compete with Unnel. I am going to introduce you to our next speaker, Christy Bolingbroke. Christy is the founding executive and artistic director for the National Center of Choreography at the University of Akron. How many of you knew that we had the National Center for Choreography here in Akron? In her role, she is responsible for setting the curatorial vision and creating a sustainable business model to foster research and development in dance. She comes to Akron from San Francisco, where she served as the Deputy Director for Advancement at ODC, overseeing curation and performance programming, as well as marketing and fundraising organization-wide. At ODC, her programming was recognized for showcasing both quality and diversity. She is an excellent coffee date and does not get upset with you when you show up late wearing sweatpants. Ladies and gentlemen, Christy.
I got you covered, Nicole. Bolingbroke's a very Shakespearean name. I would offer that dance has done a better job of training audiences to keep it on a pedestal. By only celebrating the beautiful bodies, the seemingly superhuman as they deftly move through space, we continue to keep it as just entertainment. But I invite you to not be a passive audience member. Dance is not just bodies, but it's rooted in ideas. And still to this day, one of the scariest invitations ever uttered may be, come to my dance show. Oh my God, would you get it? Is it going to be really artsy? I really hope to convince you to give up the binary like it, don't like it framework and to give dance a chance. Now let me tell you about Nicole Claymoon's Embodiment Project. In San Francisco, it's based in street dance, all forms of house and voguing and popping and breaking. And this emerging dance maker created a piece entitled Chalk Outlines that incorporated interviews from the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, I had this meta moment in her performance as the men were laying down on their stomachs, hands behind their back as if in police custody. And the women moved through the audience and they said, what are you going to do? Are you just going to sit there and watch? And I went, wait a minute, I'm at a show. That's my job right now. I'm supposed to be the witness. But they were actually calling upon all of us to be witnesses outside the theater. What could have just been another hip-hop performance actually asked us to move up a level. Now, there was a different performance that I saw in Chicago just a couple of weeks ago entitled Bluefish. And this one included Japanese-American artist Ayako Koto, a solo performance featuring self-described experimental dancer, choreographer, improviser, teacher, and curator. What does that mean? Now, I freely admit dance and dance marketing often fails you. Since we don't use verbal or written word first, we sometimes assume you know what we mean, or, and most likely, over-explain. So does this help? It's kind of abstract, right? Now, Ayako is a personal friend and colleague, so I was walking in with some insider information. And perhaps because of her Japanese heritage, her movement is partially inspired by Butoh. Butoh is a performance practice that surfaced out of the US bombing of Hiroshima. In a meditative way, it represents the pain and embodied processing of that pain as the result of recent events. Now, traditional Butoh might look like this. And even though Ayako does not call herself a Butoh artist, there is a kind of subtext in her bio. Read between the lines with language, and it's the same thing in contemporary dance. Look for moments that resonate and read in between the choreography. Now I have a confession. Some of my professional colleagues and I, we sometimes close our eyes in a performance. Yeah, while watching. It's called performance meditation. It's totally okay. Maybe you had a glass of wine beforehand. There's some Steve Reich music, or it's in silence and it's dark. No one's gonna see you. You're human. It doesn't mean that the show is bad. You're just human. Now back to the Bluefish. This is what the view of the stage was when I sat down at Pritzker Pavilion. And Ayako slowly entered on stage, moving through the space, dressed in men's clothes. She told us her father was a fisherman. She wielded a giant red fishing pole and then dismantled it into 3 parts. And while the Beatles had been playing when we entered the space, any sound score at this part was pretty much ambient. And then I closed my eyes. Now, when I opened them, there was the relentless sound of ocean waves lapping against the shore. And Ayako had poured a bottle of water across the space. And then she said she needed help making a circle, and it was really hard to make a circle when you were a solo performer. And when you're sitting in the front row, and especially when she's your friend, you get up and do it. And then we sat down, and she spoke of man and how we make things, even if they aren't in the world's best interest. And as she did, she put the fishing pole back together, sat downstage closest to the audience, and slowly cast it into the center of the stage. Now, I'm proficient in dance, and I can tell you that phrase we did, there was no hidden meaning. And I think that it was very much Ayako relating to the recent nuclear fallout and meltdown from Fukushima in 2011, because that was right before she started researching the piece. But I didn't ask Ayako if it was right. There is no right and wrong in dance. It's what I interpreted from my experience. And there's a quote from Claire Bishop that no performance is fully complete until it's witnessed by an audience who extrapolates what they can and makes their own meaning. Sure, the artist may have an intention, but what you see is what happened. As a viewer, the best thing you can do is ask questions. You probably won't get answers, but rather than just being entertained and performed to, contemporary performance can catalyze your thinking. It's good to acknowledge those questions as an exercise in learning. Contemporary performance, like dance, often tackles the unanswerable questions. Here in Ohio, I have been thrilled to discover how much dance there is going on, but I will warn you, do not just follow the one dance company you know. That is like reading only books by James Patterson. It's a very singular lens. And you need many experiences and reference points that will inform your future dance watching. So at the National Center for Choreography, we will be a space that choreographers will be treated as researchers, the same as scientists in a laboratory. But I also get to experiment with dance audiences. And we're going to prototype a social experiment where we invite audiences to watch dance and to gain their own practice. The easiest way to get involved is to receive more information and join our mailing list on our website. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you soon at the theater.